If you were to Google, is the cocaine bear still alive today? It would come up with this. He was found dead on September 11th, 1985, wearing a bulletproof vest and Gucci loafers. Now, this is actually an out-of-context sentence referring actually to the guy who dropped all of the cocaine out of the plane, jumped out, hit his head, parachute didn't open, and he died. However, I'd love to believe that this referred to the bear. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today our movie in the middle is Cocaine Bear. Cocaine Bear is exactly as it sounds, a movie about a bear who ingested a ton of cocaine, and the most insane part is that it is based off of a true story. It stars Keri Russell, O'Shea Jackson Jr., Alden Ehrenreich, Kristofer Hivju, Margo Martindale, Isaiah Whitlock Jr., and Ray Liotta. So at the beginning of the year when I was doing my top 10 most anticipated, I said there was going to be a sort of surprise review that I was going to keep a secret. Unfortunately, I won't really actually be able to do it because what I was going to do was do Cocaine Bear and Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey as a sort of double review based on the theme of bears that go insane and kill people. Just because, like, what are the odds that they both would have come out in the same month? But I confess I was not able to see Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey during its limited release in only select amount of theaters, and I was so disappointed because, like, look at the title card I came up with. It was just perfect. Hopefully I'll get to do it at some point. Maybe I'll get to see it, like, when it comes out streaming or whatever, even though I'm surprised it's not already streaming. I mean, look at it. How are they going to make money off of this? But I was able to see Cocaine Bear, so 1 out of 2 ain't bad. So for the highs, what can I say about this movie? You go into this movie knowing what you're going to get. Obviously, the biggest high is the Cocaine Bear. It was just insane. It's just insane to see what this thing does. And it's violent, but it's lazy. It gets weird. It starts banging on trees. It starts falling on people. It's just a fun time. It's just the catalyst for the entire insanity of this movie. And of course, just like in Jurassic Park and all of the following Jurassic Parks and worlds, they took the thing that's supposed to be the most violent thing, and by the end, you're actually rooting for it. How? And there are so many moments that are so violent. It definitely has those moments where things happen, you're just like, ooh, oh, God. But aside from the bear, the funniest and best part of this movie is just all the characters. There's just a few groups of them who kind of start out for different reasons going into these woods and, meeting up with the bear. Makes it sound like it's like a bear drug deal. But it's cool to see how they all sort of start to come into the woods and then they sort of meet up in different ways and combinations and what happens between all of them and all their interactions and everything. That part was really, really funny. And the characters themselves are so funny because they're like all this like quirky, backwoodsy, small town people, kind of like Fargo, but if it was set in Georgia. And it's just funny, all of the different groups that you have. I mean, you have the drug dealers, you have the park ranger who just wants to like actually keep the park safe, but she's just insane with this gun. You have the kids who go missing and the mom who's looking for them. You got the sheriff who he's just trying to track down what's going on with all of this. It was just really, really good, and I loved seeing them all meet up and what happened between them. I think this is the most I've ever liked Alden Ehrenreich. I've always thought he's been okay here and there with things, even in Han Solo. I thought he was okay, but obviously there were other issues with that movie. But in this, I mean, his whole thing is just, he's just sad, but in a really funny way. And I also have to point out, I think it's really interesting for the deep dive Supernatural fans, you know that he was in the episode Wendigo, the very second episode of Supernatural, where he goes into the woods and is hunted by the Wendigo. So I thought that was really an interesting little tidbit. Also, this is just something I need to point out, but one of the little kids, Henry, is played by Christian Convery, and I could have sworn he was the same kid, again, in another Supernatural episode, who played the kid in the Christmas episode, A Very Supernatural Christmas, whose parents get dragged up the chimney by the evil Santa. For those of you who don't watch Supernatural, that's a very weird sentence to hear. But I could have sworn, because they look exactly the same. I looked it up, and I knew that they couldn't be, because this is like 16 years apart. But it was just so weird. They both have like the same mouth and the same long blonde hair, but they're 16 years apart. And this kid's name is Christian Convery. The other kid's name is Connor Kristofer Levins. And just even their names are sort of similar, and it's like, I swear to God, they're just like the same kid. He just never aged. Also, Scott Seiss is in this movie for a little bit for a minor role where he's one of the paramedics. And you probably know Scott Seiss if you watch TikTok, because he does all of the IKEA TikToks, which are just insanely hilarious.
I'd like to speak to your manager. I'd like to speak to your mother.
And of course, Ray Liotta is in this movie, and it was his last movie, and boy, what a way to go out. All his life, he has wanted to be a gangster, and if you're gonna be a gangster, you may as well go out in a movie about a bear who has ingested cocaine. I loved Keri Russell as the mom. She's kind of the most grounded, normal character in this movie, but just her search for the kids, I loved her, but she was also very badass. And then Margo Martindale, she was awesome. She was hilarious as the park ranger because she's that kind who's like, I'm not going to take any shit from anybody. Again, hilarious. They were all just so funny. You know, I have a few lows, but they're really small. A lot of the lines of dialogue, and specifically how they're put over in just a few of the scenes, I couldn't really tell what the tone was or like what the scene was trying to do sometimes. It felt like maybe it was trying to get at something, but we couldn't really figure it out. But like that happens in a lot of these kinds of movies where honestly this could have been, if it didn't have such a huge cast, like just one of those Sci-Fi Channel movies. But it had a big cast, it had a better story, and so it just made it bigger into bigger theaters. But specifically, there is one of these moments, actually it's a running moment that is really only my other low, which is there's like this subplot with the sheriff or police officer with his dog. They were like, I feel like they were trying to do something deeper with it, and there was just a lot of like this subtle like context stuff, this subtext going on, subtle context. Whoa. And it never really came of anything. Like he talks with his partner, this other sheriff who's like sort of in training, and I don't know. I just feel like if you've seen the movie, you might know what I'm talking about. I feel like they were trying to imply something with it, and they just never really did. I don't know. This is the type of movie where you can't overthink it. You can't really look too much into it. It's about a bear who ingests cocaine. I mean, it's awesome. This movie overall is just fun. It's high energy. It's exactly what you're thinking you're going to get from it. It's not going to win 1,000 awards, but it's just fun and cool and based off of a true story where, yeah, it was not as hyped up or as insane. The bear just died after ingesting all of that. But some of this stuff still happened. Also, fun fact, because of the success of Cocaine Bear, there is actually a movie now coming out called Meth Gator. Is this where we are now? Like, the past decade was reboots and requels and sequels, and now we're just gonna have like childhood characters becoming slasher films and drugs plus animals. Like, are we gonna get like heroin gorilla or acid tiger or prescription Adderall penguin? Guys, go see Cocaine Bear if you're looking for a fun time. I'm going to give Cocaine Bear a 3 out of 4. Well, let me know what you thought of Cocaine Bear. If you saw it, I definitely just recommend going to watch it. And let me know if in the comments below if you find that Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey has come out on streaming, because I do want to watch it and I do want to review it if I can. And as always, keep your hopes high, your stress low, and movies right in the middle. I'll see you guys later.